What we teach here with Social Media Blueprints is how to do this business ethically, how to do this business in a way that sellers want to come to you.
Stop investing in real estate the hard way and start doing real estate investing the smart way.
And got a wire for 45 grand to my bank account in 78 days. This one simple step that I'm about to show you will absolutely blow your mind.
Shout out and say thank you for your social media blueprints training.
It's been awesome. Like, I've had a great experience with social media blueprints.
Everyone here is just here as friends, and we're here to help each other, and we're here to help each other grow.
You didn't just give up on me, you stay right there with me, and I appreciate it so much.
Cool, welcome. Let's get rocking and rolling. So I get the pleasure of walking you through how to present offers today in an ethical way, in a way that feels good. It's kind of funny, just a little bit ago, someone sent a text message reply to us after exchanging money, working with a new client. They sent a thank you. They sent the thank you in. They sent just nice little text messages thanking us for doing business. And I replied to my whole team on it, and I just said, hey, when someone thanks you after money is exchanged like that, that's when you know you're in the right business. That's when you know that you're doing things well. So I just wanted to share that. So I get a chance now to go through the 3 biggest mistakes that investors are making right now in today's market when presenting offers, and I'm going to show you how to fix them. I'm going to show you how to correct them so that you don't make mistakes when presenting offers, because let's face it, 90% of the market, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably being conservative on that number, but 90% of the market, they just don't get it. They're going out and they're tossing out offers and they're hoping for the best. And in this market, let's face it, especially if your market's still going towards that peak level, sellers have choice. They have choices. And because of that situation, you can't just go in and do what the people told us to do 10 years ago. Or even 5 years ago, even 2 years ago. The market is so different right now than 2 years ago. So I want to walk you through the framework of that tonight. I want to show it to you. I want to share it so that you have it, so that you can finish this year strong. Okay. Now I'm going to talk to you about making offers to sellers, but I hope that you're okay with this. I'm also there's a whole lot of people in this whole REI space that they don't necessarily share all the way from the heart. And I'm going to share a little from the heart because I like to do a little preaching too. And I hope you're okay with that, because it's just who I am. My principles in life, my number 1 is God, number 2 is family, then it's number 3, this whole work stuff. So I'm going to share who I am openly. I hope you don't mind that. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about making offers specifically, because this is probably the biggest point in someone's real estate investing business that really moves the needle. It moves the needle for people because if you're doing any kind of lead generation, whether it be direct mail, cold calling, social media, which I recommend, obviously that's where I hang my hat. But any of the above, if you don't know how to talk to the seller, it doesn't matter how many leads you get. You could get 1,000 leads tomorrow. If you don't know how to talk to the seller in a way that makes them feel good, engaged, and want to share all of the information with you so that you can structure one of the 17 different ways to buy their house, and yes, there are 17 different ways to buy their house, then it's useless. And this right here could be the most impactful training that you watch this year, next year, or at any point in your business. I know for me it was when I learned how to do this business the right way, when I learned how to make offers the right way. Okay, so we're going to go through that. Okay, there are 3 main points that I want you to get. Okay, you can take notes on this, but this is being recorded. I'm streaming it right now, obviously. I'll leave it up for a couple of days. I'm not going to leave it up forever. So you got a couple of days just in case there's some spots that you need to go back on, all that kind of stuff. But I really want you to listen with heart, okay? Because it's a key part of building rapport with potential sellers, okay? So there's 3 main things we're going to cover, okay? And first thing, you have to learn how to listen to sellers, okay? Well, Nate, that sounds obvious, but it's more than that. You have to be able to ask really good questions. I'm going to do a little share screen action over here. So then you kind of can see this here. But when we're talking about listening to a seller, it's more than just the lip service of listening, okay? A lot of people will say, oh yeah, I'm listening. but are they really digging in? Are they really asking the deep questions? Like on my script right here, if I go through this whole thing, it's 7 pages. It's 7 pages, okay? Why is it 7 pages, Nate? Well, because I want to make sure that when I'm working with the seller, I truly understand every part of the situation. Most people, they just kind of go through and they do this stuff lip service. They don't get into the specifics. They don't ask all the right questions of the seller. And therefore, they end up not being able to make an offer that the seller can say yes to. And that's a key component of it. We want the seller to be in a position where literally they can say yes. The second part of it, and I'm going to cover this a little bit later during the training, but there's really 5 parts of that call, 5 distinct phases of that call that you and I, as real estate investors, we have to master. We have to understand all 5 parts of it. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to make an offer that they can say yes to. Okay. So once the answers start coming out that you get, then basically you're in a position to actually make an offer. You're not in a position to make an offer at any time up until you've gone through all 5 phases of the actual call. Okay. After you listen carefully, after you ask the right questions, then you'll know which of the 17 ways to make offers on their property. You'll know exactly which one's going to be the spot that they can say yes to. Okay. The worst thing ever is you get to a point at the end of the conversation. Let me know in the chat if this has ever happened to you. Have you ever had a seller say, "Oh, that sounds great. I need to think about it." "Oh, that's awesome, Nate. Just let me think about it. Let me think about it." Has that ever happened to you? Just go ahead and say yes in the comments if it's ever happened to you. If you're so new that you haven't had that conversation yet, I totally get it. I understand. But those of you that are experienced real estate investors, if you're working directly with sellers, you probably come into that before. That's okay. It's totally okay. So Sean says yes. Boost Property says always. Okay, I'm going to help you get through that. Okay, I'm going to help you map out how you get through that. Okay, and it's really understanding the seller's position. We have to put them in a position that they can actually say yes to us. Okay, we have to make sure that we're not offering them something that they have to really say, "I need to think about it." Okay, so that's what we got to do. Okay, now even if you're typically like just in the whole wholesale business, bear with me because there's 17 different ways to buy houses. All of them are applicable, whether you're here to do fix and flips, whether you do wholesale, or if you just want to build up your portfolio through buy and holds. All of them are going to be predicated around us being able to present the offer to the seller the right way. Okay. If you've listened carefully, you're going to figure out what's truly motivating the seller. Like likely they've got some urgent need, kind of like what happened to me with Kong on 9149 North 94th Street. This seller came to me and he literally said, "Hey, I want retail price." I'll talk more about the whole retail price later. You probably had that happen to you before too. Anyways, on the phone, I said, "Hey, I might be able to. I'm not sure yet. I've never even seen the property. But tell you what, if I can come out and take a quick peek at it, then I might be able to help you. Let's find out." So we end up doing the on-site. I walk the property with him. I totally go through some of the things I'm going to share tonight. I won't do all of that right now, but I'm going to share it tonight. Okay. I go through the important things, and then I say to him, his name's Kong. I'm like, "Kong, hey, like, so in our conversation, you told me you had a realtor out here. Why didn't you list it? Why didn't you just go ahead and list the property for sale with a realtor?" And then he told me all of those answers. Then I said, "Well, hey, you had another investor out here. Why didn't you just sell it to that investor?" And then he told me all of those answers too. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Once I understood the entire context of his situation, then I was able to just point blank ask him, "What do you really need?" It wasn't the retail price that he had said originally. Remember, my first phone call with him, he said, "I just need retail price. You pay me retail price and we're good." That's what he thought that he wanted. But after I understood all of the context, and I spent a good 45 minutes with him, actually it's 47 minutes because I recorded myself to train myself and get better at it. Then I understood how to actually make an offer to him. By the end of that conversation, what ended up happening is I was able to sign a contract with him on the spot. This is after a realtor had been there, after another investor had been there. Neither of them could get it done for him to help him in the position that he wanted. I just simply asked better questions. I simply understood him better. And so after asking all those questions, I was able to strike a deal with him that he felt good about and I felt good about. And I was actually able to way over deliver for him on that one. So for a minute, I want you to imagine yourself as the seller, okay? You've probably talked to someone before that trying to buy their house, but now I want you to position yourself as the seller. Okay. Imagine that you sat down with me just like Kong sat down with me. And by the end of the conversation, Kong and I had so much rapport and so much trust that he pulled out his mortgage statements. He showed me the balances. Imagine that you're that seller. Okay. You're that seller. You've told me your life story, your house story, the mortgage statements are on the table, everything. And you're feeling overwhelmed and all that kind of stuff. You need to sell the property because of life circumstances. And then what if I turned to you and I just said, okay, great. And I made you just some ridiculous lowball cash offer. What would you do? How would you feel if you were that seller that just spilled the heart out and then you just got this basically what I call a punch in the gut, because that's what it is. A lowball cash offer is just a big punch in the gut. How would you feel? Let me know in the chat. How would you feel if you had that happen to you? All of a sudden, boom, you get this low cash offer tossed at you. A lot of sellers, they might not say this out loud. And I know that a lot of the people in this real estate business, they teach to present a low cash offer, but I want to tell you why that's completely wrong and why, for lack of better terms, those folks they're just plain not smart teaching that right now in this market. I know that a decade ago, that's what I learned. 15 years ago, that's what my original mentor taught me. But right now, it is not the approach. It's the exact opposite. If a seller wanted a lowball cash offer, a punch in the gut delivered to them, they would just go to opendoor.com. They would go to offerpad.com or one of the 16 other iBuyers that are competing to buy houses online. That's all that they would have to do. They don't need you or I to come to their house and punch them in the gut. They don't. So let's not do that. But Nate, hold on. This is what the gremlins will say, okay? The critics, they'll start throwing tomatoes here. But Nate, how on earth do you buy a good deal if you're not buying it for a low price? I'll get to that. I will. With Kong, I worked out an offer with him where it literally took me a $7,000 injection, $7,000, and I got back 78 days later, less than 3 months later, I got back a wire for $45,000. Now, I'm not guaranteeing you're going to replicate anything. I don't know you very well yet. I mean, there's some people on here that I know. Hello. But I don't know you personally, so I can't like make some income guarantee. But that's what happened to me. I put in $7,000. I got back out a wire for $45,000 in less than 3 months on that particular deal. Okay, so I didn't have to do a lowball cash offer to him. I didn't have to punch him in the gut because I understood his situation and I understand the 17 different ways to buy houses. Okay, so I think that we're over point number one. Point number one is no punch in the gut, lowball cash offers. Okay, instead it's understand and listen. Once you've understood and you listen to where they're at, then you can present the right offer to them. So if you're curious with Kong, what I literally did is I said, hey, rather than you taking a lowball listing, which you're going to have to come, the realtor literally wanted him to update the kitchen, do new paint, new flooring, all that kind of stuff, come out of pocket a bunch of money that he didn't have. The other investor was basically offering him just enough to pay off his mortgage, no money in his pocket. And so I was much different. I listened to him and I was able to offer him enough cash so that he could pack up his family and move to a new city. And then I took over his mortgage payments. Okay, so I did that using one of the 17 different ways to make offers, and I purchased his property that way. So I was able to do that because I listened to him. I understood his situation. The other two just didn't get it. They didn't dig as deep as I did to really understand. Okay, so low, like a lot of people, they'll teach you like low, but these lowball offers, it's way to go because you get more profit. You won't get the deal, period. You won't get the deal, period, is what will happen. It's not about getting more profit. You just won't get the deal at all. That's why most of my competitors right now are missing. Meanwhile, we've got a pipeline that's over 20 properties. Over 20 properties are under contract in our pipeline. And that's a gift from God. I 100% know that. But it's also doing business the right way, ethically, responsibly, taking care of the sellers, doing right by them no matter what, okay? There's a lot of people out there that are still going to teach that lowball offer. Don't do it, okay? Don't sink down that trap, okay? Now, of course, I know that you want to build the business ethically. The only people that tend to listen to me are the folks that want to do things the right way. Everybody else, they start hearing me and they're like, oh boy, here goes Nate again. Nate's going to give us some Bible scripture on this. Well, I probably will, yes. But the thing is that you want to do this ethically, so I know that you're here. I know that you're in the right spot. The strategy of lowball cash offer is gone, but the strategy of listing to them is in full effect. That's how we're getting so many contracts. You probably remember the story of the Good Samaritan in the Bible, right? The story is basically a parable that Jesus told. It's in the book of Luke, if you're curious, Luke 10:25 and thereabouts. It goes on for a few different verses. Well, it's basically about this traveler that gets left on the side of the road, stripped, beaten, robbed, stolen from. Like, this man's left half dead on the side of the road. And first, a Jewish priest comes by, and then a Levite comes by. Both of them pretty much just ignore him. And they're both like, well, dude, if this guy's got beat up, I don't want to get beat up. I'm just going to keep on going. So they just left him for dead. Okay. Finally, a Samaritan happens upon this traveler. Okay. And although Samaritans, this was a Jew on the side of the road, beaten and half dead. Okay. Samaritans and Jews, historically, they kind of despise one another. They weren't like the best of friends. But this Samaritan helped the injured man, took him either on his horse or his donkey or whatever it was, loaded him up, and took him to an inn for care, took him to get the medical attention that he needed. Now, Jesus told this parable in response to a question that he was posed to by a lawyer. And the lawyer was basically asking, well, who is my neighbor? Who is my neighbor? You can draw your own conclusions on this, but the two people that despise one another, I'm pretty sure that Jesus was talking about them being neighbors. And I think that us as real estate investors, we have to go forward treating our sellers as our neighbor as well. We've got to care for them. We do. We can't just go and look at this as a one-sided equation, because they'll feel that. They'll know that. At the end of the day, if they're feeling short, like they're getting the shaft on the deal, then they're just going to say, I need to think about it. Or I'm going to get other offers or something of that nature. But if instead they feel like you've been honest with them, transparent with them, straight to the point with them, then all of a sudden, that's the Good Samaritan approach, right? Then all of a sudden they're in a position where they like you. They feel like they know you. They feel like they trust you. And now they want to do business with you. There are countless examples like this in the Bible, obviously. And I'm sure that you can find even in your own life examples like this, showing kindness and fairness to people. God blesses you in your life for that. God blesses you for that. Okay. I'm immensely blessed in my business. I know that. Like, I probably don't deserve everything that God's given me, but I know that the blessings are coming. And I think it's because I treat people the right way. I just make it a principle no matter what. Okay. So sometimes a seller, they'll just straight out ask you for a cash offer. What about that scenario, Nate? What about when the seller says, just give me the number? I mean, before you even see the house, sometimes there's this whole text game that's going on right now. People like to text. They text you back and say, oh, I can't talk right now. I just need a text. And then they find out who you are and they're like, oh yeah, just text me an offer. If you've ever been asked to be emailed or text an offer, say text in the chat. Text in the chat, okay? If you've ever been asked to be emailed or text an offer, then just say text in the chat. I want to know if that's happening to other people too. And Boost Properties, I want to buy 5610 Cody Street. If it's a good one, you tell me. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. It's in Arvada, Colorado. Let's see. Let's look at the numbers on it. But if you've ever been asked to text someone an offer, John, it's happened to you before. Okay. Yeah. And it's happening more and more and more. And actually, John, I'm using this because you brought it up the other day in our call. Actually in our thread, our text thread back and forth. Well, here's the thing. Some sellers think that that's what they want. They think that they're saving time. But in the end, getting a text offer from someone, it doesn't serve anybody. So please don't do it. This is mistake number 2 I see happening to real estate investors. They succumb. They feel like they are required to reply to someone's request for a text or an email offer. Don't do it. No, never is my answer. There is no circumstance under the sun that I would permit you to do it if it were up to me. Obviously, you can do what you want, but I'm just speaking from experience. The text offers and the email offers, they rarely go anywhere positive. They usually go down the toilet really, really fast. Okay, so please don't do it. There's a few different reasons. This happens a lot with sellers, and you need to earn their trust. You do. To make an offer to them that they can say yes to, you have to earn their trust. The same is true for the seller talking to you. Building trust goes both ways, back and forth. It's not a one-way street. I mean, think about this. Would you buy a house blindly from someone that you didn't know? Like you've never been there, you've never walked it, you've never inspected. Would you buy something blindly from someone that you didn't know or trust? Probably not. Even if we go into like cars or boats or whatever, you probably would not do that under any circumstance under the sun. Business is a lot kind of like marriage. Buying houses a little bit like marriage too. You don't just walk up to someone on the street and say, hey, do you want to get married to me? You'd get slapped or punched by some people if you just blindly said, hey, you want to get married? There's this whole like dating period, right? You don't walk up to somebody on the sidewalk and say, hey, do you want to get married? Instead, you would date them for a while. And you have to have a mutual understanding of one another before you'd ever get into that whole marriage conversation. So that's why we don't do this whole text thing. Another reason is that you have to know all the facts. What if you sent over an offer and then you find out that the house needs a lot of repair later? Now you've text messaged an offer and then you find out later, like I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I took a call from someone selling their property that literally the entire septic system needs to be connected. They're on an old septic system. And they explained later that the septic now has to be updated to city sewer. And there's a connection for that. It's like a $7,000 expense to connect it. And then additionally, you have to backfill the old septic tank with concrete and disconnect it. And there's another $6,000 for that. That's like $13,000 that if I was texting an offer on, I would have never known about. I would have been surprised with it later. And if I would have just texted an offer to this person, then guess what? I'd be in a position where I put in writing what I thought I could pay for it. And then later on, they could say, well, hey, that's shenanigans if you're trying to change the number. And I just don't want that, okay? What about other liens that can pop up? What about other repairs or anything like that of that nature that a special assessment that's coming, okay? Everything, right? Instead, when you have all the facts, now you can find out and you can do something with them that will better serve them. You can really understand their situation and then present a reasonable offer with them. There's 17 different ways to structure this with the seller. So we want to be good at all 17. Okay. Now it takes trust to make this work both ways. There's this woman that I started with. Let me actually go over to it right now. I want you to see Cynthia right here. Who are you? Where are you from?
Okay. My name is Cynthia Rodriguez, and I'm from Columbia, Tennessee.
And how did you find Jennifer Buys Houses? Can you tell us about that situation a bit?
Yeah, your ad come across the Facebook one day. I was just scrolling down and it just popped up. So I gave you a call to see, how that y'all work and how it goes about selling houses and stuff, because it was my first time, and I was so thankful for just when I first talked to you, the first conversation we had, I could tell that I felt like you really wanted to
So this is Cynthia.
help me.
Cynthia and her family, when we got on the call with her, I didn't know this until we were into
Goes
the
about selling
Let me get back right here.
to help me.
I didn't know this until we got going a little ways, but Cynthia was in a position where her husband had passed away. She had children, and she told me this a little ways into the call. And I know 100% like what the Bible says about orphans and widows in the Bible. If you read James 1:27, it says to look after orphans and widows in their distress. It's very, very clear. There's probably 10 other verses in the Bible that we could go through as well. And so when she told me this, I'm like, okay, now what if I would have just thrown her a lowball cash offer, not knowing and understanding her story? Could you imagine if I text messaged that to her, something ridiculous? No. Instead, I understood her entire position. And when I understood it, I tried to actually get her to list her house for sale with a realtor. And then when she told me, no, Nate, I can't because, and she explained to me why she couldn't. She couldn't because she was already past the deadline for her lender. Her lender was foreclosing on the property. She didn't have any more time left. There was no way that a retail buyer could have come in and helped her. It was just too late in the process. And then once I understood that, then I accelerated my stuff and worked super, super hard. And consequently, like the reason she's on this video with me right here is because not only did we find a happy ending for her. I mean, literally up until the day of closing, it was down to the wire. We were up against the bank for closing on her. She called me a couple of days before closing. She's like, Nate, I know you tried so hard. I just want to let you know that I thank you and your team for everything you did. I know it's not going to work because the lender is going to foreclose, but I just wanted to say thank you. And I told her, I said, Cynthia, stay in faith, like just keep praying. And then I called her the day before closing. I said, hey, tomorrow you need to go to this title company. She's like, why? And I said, I'm not even going to tell you. You just need to go. You need to go tomorrow at 3:00, and then you call me after you go. And she goes and she finds this huge check there, a check she never thought she was getting. And we saved her equity. And like, it was this whole really cool thing. And then later on, I felt some tugs on my heart, this feeling in my gut that said, hey, you need to do more for Cindy. You need to do more for her. And it wasn't really my gut talking. We all probably know is the big guy in one way, shape, or form talking. And anyways, we ended up going back. In her market, this is Nashville, Tennessee. I don't live in Nashville, so that's a remote market that we work. So I ended up going to Nashville physically, and this check in the background, you can kind of see it there, but this huge giant check right there, my son's holding and about to give to her. She had no idea this was coming. We surprised her with it, and we gave her another really big gift to help her and her family just like along the way. But is doing stuff like this easy? Like a charitable thing like that? No, not always. There have been times like where we look at our donations and our charitable things and we think twice and we're like, oh goodness, this would really be nice to buy a boat for the cabin, or maybe this would be nice to pay down the house, things like that. But at the end of the day, when you do things right, the rewards come back to you. Okay. You probably remember the story of Joseph. Joseph, he ended up becoming a slave, and then he got thrown in jail. And but when he finally got a chance to stand in front of the Pharaoh and interpret the Pharaoh's dream, the Pharaoh was so impressed with him that he essentially made him governor of the land. And then the land became super blessed. Everything that this man touched, Joseph, I'm talking about, everything that he touched just became to bear fruit. He basically raised a whole bunch of grain that could be stored. So when the famine came, like they had food to survive through the entire famine. Everybody from around the region was in a famine except for Egypt, because Egypt had this governor that planned ahead. And this was Joseph, the blessed man. Why do you think it is that Joseph was so blessed? Why do you think it is that Joseph had so much confidence? And by the way, when he had to go stand in front of the Pharaoh, he was literally a prisoner. Imagine this, getting drug out of jail to say, hey, you're going to go talk to the Pharaoh to help him interpret this dream, because someone told a rumor that he was good at interpreting dreams because he did it for other people and he was truthful in his interpretations. And you know that the Pharaoh beheads people if he doesn't like them, like he just has them killed. You know that. Imagine being Joseph going in. Joseph confidently interpreted his dream. So confidently did it that the Pharaoh makes him governor of the entire land, from prisoner to governor in a day, just like that. Now imagine if you went into your business with that confidence, that same confidence like Joseph had, okay? What would your business be like if you had that? Now, I'm not going to ask you to go to Pharaoh and risk having your head cut off and become governor of an entire land unless you kind of want to do that. The politics have changed in Egypt these days. But if you believe in your purpose, your mission, your big why, and why you're doing this business, then your confidence will follow too. You'll be able to stand in front of sellers confidently presenting these offers. You'll be able to confidently walk them into a solution that you know is win-win. 100%, okay? I had this seller, as I mentioned to you last night, when she came to me, I confidently gave her a solution. I told her, I said, hey, if I were you, this is what I would do. I gave her my playbook. I was so open book with her. I was so transparent with her. I literally said, I mapped it out. This is what I would do if I were you. If you don't want to deal with those headaches, then I'm your guy. I'll take this on. I'll walk it through with you. So I walked her through the phases that I was telling you about earlier, okay? Now, I want you to answer me this, okay? Have you ever had a seller that wanted retail price? Meaning they said they wanted full market price for the house. Have you ever had that happen to you? I want retail price. I want what Zillow says. I want what Redfin says. Has that ever happened to you? If yes, just type yes in the chat, or you can type retail. then I'll know that you're with me on this. Have you ever had a seller that wants retail price? Okay. This is going to be a bonus round, by the way. We've already covered 3 of the main principles. I'm going to take you into a 4th right here. Sean's excited for this, so we'll go through it for Sean. We'll go through it for Boost Properties. I don't know who Boost Property is, but I'm glad that you're here. John, yes, of course. Okay, cool. So here's the thing. When you get that retail price thing, it's going to happen a lot, and it'll probably happen a lot more until the market shifts at some point. And so when you get that, just know that that's just par for the course. I mean, if you put a property up for sale, don't you want the most you can possibly get for it? I cannot tell you how many rookie real estate investors, they quit on that seller. They give up on that seller as soon as they hear those infamous words, I want retail price. I want full price. I want, and they say the number 300 grand, and that happens to be what market value is. And they just write the seller off. They give up on them 100%. Instead, if they walk through this part right here, let me put this up there. Instead, if they walk through this thing that we've been going through tonight, these principles, if they just walk through this with the seller to truly understand their circumstances, and they knew what to do once they had the information, their whole world would change. Their whole world would change. Well, Nate, I've been doing this for 10 years. I don't need a new script. Well, Nate, that won't work in my market. My market's different. My market's on fire. I get it. I understand. I am blessed right now to work with over 200 clients across the country in varying markets, some of the hottest markets in the entire country. I get to put my hands in, I get to put my brain into, I get to look and see what's going on. I can tell you right now that if you're just going in and tossing out low cash offers and you got some old school script, it is garbage right now. It is absolute garbage. It's not going to work. Yeah, you might get lucky 1 out of 50. You might also, as you're punching people in the gut, you might also get punched back from time to time, or at least you'll get ghosted when you try to follow up with the person because you're not building rapport with them, punching them in the gut. Instead, what you do is you walk into an offer. You present an offer that they can say yes to by understanding where they're at. You go deep with the seller and really understand every single fold. Who else is the decision maker, as an example? Is it husband, wife? What about their accountants? What about their attorney? Is that a deciding party? With a lot of the elderly folks that I work with and I buy properties from them, oftentimes the real decision maker is their daughter or their son or their niece or their nephew. And how many people blow right past that and they just deliver this low cash offer and no. Stop the boat. Stop the madness. Start applying these biblical principles to your offers and watch what happens. Start applying the 17 different ways to buy houses and watch what happens. Start going through the 5 phases of every single call with the seller so you truly understand where they're at and you can actually make an offer that they can say yes to and watch them say yes. And I think at the end of the day, that's what we all want. We want to get a yes from the seller because then we can actually help them. If we get no's and maybes, I need to think about it. There's no good for them, no good for us. They're still stuck. They're still stuck in this box trying to figure out the problem to their solution. They're going to find a solution. It's just not going to include you if you're getting a no or a maybe. Instead, if you can get a yes because you walk them through the solution that they can say yes to, now you can actually serve. Now you can make profit for your business. Now you get consistent deals for your business. If this resonates with you, then don't let this 40-minute journey that we've been on stop right here. And I'm serious about this. Like we've been here, we've been jamming, we're getting into some good stuff. But at the end of the day, if you just watch this and then you try to go out there into the world and you don't know the action plan to put it out there, it might not be good for you. So I'm going to give this invitation, okay? For those of you that want help making this 5-part conversation flow in your business, want help driving in leads to you, sellers like Cynthia who are asking for your help, then go ahead and type one simple word in the chat below. It's the word call, C-A-L-L. And what that does, here's what happens. If you type the word call below, what happens is somebody on my team will reach out to you. They'll schedule a 15-minute phone call, okay? It's 15 minutes. We don't have a bunch of time. We're a small team. We literally only have this open for the next 72 hours. So it's a small team of folks. We'll jump on the line with you. We'll figure out where you're at in your business. will help map out this plan. And if you like the plan and you want our help with it, then you tell us. There's nothing to buy in this call. Literally nothing. You cannot, even if you wanted to pay us for something, you couldn't. There's no sales whatsoever on it. This call is to map out a plan for you. And then if you feel that that's a good plan and you want to get our help on it, then you tell the person you're talking to on my team. It's either Nicola or Esther, both awesome people, incredible people. You just tell Nicola or you tell Esther, hey, I'd really like to talk to your team about how you guys can help me implement this stuff. And then they'll talk to you about that on another call. But this first call is 100% service. By the way, it's the same thing you're going to do with sellers. Literally to a T. We practice what we preach here. It's no wonder why we have so many properties that close with us every single month. It's no wonder why we're one of the highest rated teams that are out there. God's blessed us, number one, but number two, when you go into every single relationship, you just serve. You serve from your heart. You give, you're open book, you're transparent, and then people want to do business with you. They want to. You can see all the folks right now, like they're already typing call and things like that. It's because we have a lot of people that we've just served. We serve. No different than this tonight. So when you're working with sellers, just serve them, just listen to them, and then all of a sudden business will come in. And it's the same thing with this. So if you want that help, if you want someone that's doing multiple 6 figures and 7 figures in their business, then basically, and you want us to come look under the hood and give you a game plan for your business, then all you got to do is type the word call in the chat below, and then we'll jump on. I am going to try to help answer questions now. They're feeding into this platform right here. I'm streaming, by the way, in our Facebook group and on our main page. So I'm going to try to grab questions off of here. If you got a question, go ahead, type it in the chat. I'm going to do my best, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them. Norma Gomez Lopez. Awesome. Okay, so you're tagging somebody on there. Okay, awesome, cool. I thought that was a question coming through. I'm like, whoa, look at this. I don't know what kind of question that is. Cool. But if you've got a question, feel free to type it over here in the chat, and then it should pop up to me, and then I can see it most of the time. By the way, for those that want your name to be able to pop up like this, like Boost Properties, then you have to click the little link above the stream, and then your name will pop up. It'll feed onto here. It's a software called StreamYard. They allow that. So that's why I can see some, and then others I can't. Cool. Next question. This is from Boost Properties. Are there any problems with your strategy as a licensed realtor? So I am a licensed realtor. The biggest problem with that, it's not really a problem, but the biggest thing with that is that you just have to disclose. You disclose. And it's funny, one time I was going out, this is in the days before social media. Like I don't want to confess this, but I've been doing this for a long time now. And if you compare it to like the internet speed, because the internet moves so fast, then I'm kind of a dinosaur in this whole real estate internet arena. Okay, I'm not really a dinosaur, but that's kind of what it's like. So, but years ago, before social media, before we could drive all of our business off of social media, what I used to do is I used to go put out those signs, you know, those yellow signs that say we buy houses. That's what I did. Okay. And one day my real estate broker saw me and he's like, hey, Nate, what are you doing with the whole sign thing? And I told him like, well, I'm an investor too. And I put these signs out and this is how and then he's like, well, you disclose that you're a licensed agent, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, of course. It's in every single contract. It's always disclosed. Every time that I put a house under contract, that's what I disclose it. He's like, well, Nate, is it like, you know, tattooed on your forehead that you're a licensed realtor? And I'm like, well, no, it's not tattooed on my forehead that I'm a licensed realtor. He's like, well, you need to get a tattoo that it's on your forehead that says you're a licensed realtor. And then I'm cool with it. And I'm like, really? He's like, well, not really, but yes, really. And so that's when I learned like the whole like laws around disclosure. Like you have to disclose a lot. So that's the challenge with it. So I'm a licensed realtor in one state. So in that state, every time, every transaction, all the time, I just disclose it. I'm a licensed realtor. Every time on a call, every time in person, all that kind of stuff. In the other states that I do business in, because I buy in a lot of different states, I don't have to go through the extent of disclosing it because I'm not licensed in those other states. I still, however, disclose it on every single contract. I do, just as a point of precaution. I never want someone to think that I'm representing them when I'm not representing them. Okay, so that's the biggest thing is disclosure. You might ask your broker what they want you to do or not do. I have a lot of clients right now that either husband or wife is licensed, and then the opposite one is who does most of the marketing up front. The opposite one. So then they don't have to disclose and all that kind of stuff. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, cool. Me too. Okay, great. Joseph. Hey, Joseph. I just got to see you in person not that long ago. Nice to see you here. You're gonna get the tattoo? Yes. When you get that, please show me. Send me a picture, like hashtag me or something, so that I see it. Don't really do that though. That'd be really weird. That'd be really, really weird to have that tattooed to your forehead. I'm a licensed realtor. I'm a licensed realtor. Okay, cool. I think we've knocked out the questions. Usually what ends up happening later is there's more questions that come to people's mind. Just like literally, I would type the question here in the chat, and then Nicola or Esther will probably see it and they'll be able to help you. And then for those that want a look under the hood to see, like, how do I put this 5-part call into sequence? This one that I have right here. Where'd it go? I lost it. Anyways, I had it here. This one. If you want help putting this thing into action, if you want your business to get the boost for the last 2 months of the year so that you walk into 2022 with strength, with courage, with confidence like Joseph, then go ahead, type the word call below, and then we'll look under the hood with you, okay? That's a 15-minute phone call. Courtesy of us, just serving 100%. There's nothing to buy on that call. And then if you'd like that, then you can talk to us another time about how we can actually help you deeper. Okay, cool. I'm gonna run. I gotta fly tomorrow. So I hope that this has been helpful for your business. If it has, then let me know that in the chat too. I always appreciate it. Then I know what is valuable for you and for your business. I'm gonna go pack my suitcases now so I can fly early tomorrow morning. Thank you. God bless. We'll see you guys later. Okay, bye-bye.